This is a general overview of the multidisciplinary discharge routine, a central piece of the 566 upgrade. The purpose of this routine is to create a central desktop from which all members of the discharge team, providers, nurses, case managers, and others, can view and create a single final discharge document known as the patient report. The discharge routine has several discrete sections, so we've broken up the educational videos to make it easier and more efficient for you to learn. These videos are all available on the Learning Center under the Multidisciplinary Discharge routine. We enter the discharge desktop by clicking on the Discharge button in the status board of the patient's enterprise medical record. This takes us to the discharge desktop. There are 7 sections in total to the desktop. I'll review each of these in brief. To begin with, we'll notice that there are 2 required sections: discharge medication reconciliation and the actual orders to discharge the patient. We know it's required because of the red asterisk to the left and the red word required to the right. At the very top of the discharge desktop, we have the 2 buttons: Discharge Plan, which is the default option, and Preferred Pharmacy, where we can view and edit the patient's preferred pharmacy information. Just below the buttons, we have the patient problem list. This includes medical and surgical problem lists along with family history and social history. You can update these problem lists directly from the desktop. Below the patient problem list, the next section is the discharge section, in which there are 2 elements: anticipated date of discharge and discharge disposition. For anticipated date of discharge, we have a simple calendar function to apply that date. We also have a yellow sticky note. This is a free text box where different members of the team can communicate with each other. The text written in this box will not show up on the final patient report. The discharge disposition is a radio button function. As exemplified here, we choose one disposition. If at any time we change our mind about this, we can edit and change to a different location. Below the discharge section is discharge medication reconciliation. There are 2 elements here: the reconciliation itself and also a quick launch directly into durable medical equipment if in case that's all that you need to do for the patient at that time. We'll notice that each of these elements has light blue text in brackets. This is helper text. This reminds us what's needed in this section, and the helper text goes away once we've completed that function. The next section below discharge medication reconciliation is physician documentation. There are actually 2 pieces within this section. One is a piece where we can complete discharge instructions. The other is where we can complete discharge summaries if we so wish. There's adult, newborn, pediatric, and postpartum discharge summaries available. Following the physician documentation section, you have the discharge order section, which is the actual orders to discharge your patient. And then you have the patient forms and instructions section. In this latter section, there are several elements for the finalization of the patient report. Nursing staff adds their relevant discharge information in the nursing assessment section. Patient forms provide various forms that can accompany the report. For now, we have the thank you note, which accompanies all patients, and in this case, because the patient is being transferred to a skilled nursing facility, we have a discharge to facility med reconciliation form. This is a paper printed form that you would sign as needed by the skilled nursing facility. The next element is the education handouts. This can be filled out by you or by other members of the team and can provide the patient with pre-printed disease-specific patient education material. The next section is a free text area where any member of the team can provide other instructions to the patient, and these will be included in the patient report. The final element of the patient forms and instructions section is reference links. This is where you can go out and get more detailed information for the patient or the patient's family in those cases where they would like to learn more about a disease process. The final section of the discharge routine is the results section. Currently, we have 2 elements. The first is a laboratory results element. This will pull in certain labs that may have been done for the patient during the hospital stay. This is not an all-inclusive list of every lab the patient had, but labs that tend to be relevant in the transfer of care to outpatient settings. And then the final element is vaccines. If the patient received any vaccines during the particular hospital stay, these will be listed in the patient report. If the patient did not have any vaccines, then no vaccine information will show up in the report. This concludes the video demonstration of the overview of the Discharge desktop and the multidisciplinary discharge routine.